March 2020, 3 years ago. COVID happens, panic, people start uh, drinking at home during lockdown, hoarding toilet paper, stockpiling supplies, and yeah, what do you do apart from getting drunk at home? If you are like me, you will take that opportunity and the extra time to learn languages. So at the time, I was working at the Spanish embassy in Berlin, and COVID gave me an extra hour of sleep in the morning because I had to wake up really early to get all the way to the embassy, which is located in Tiergarten in the west of Berlin, and I was living in the east. That wasn't a very smart choice of a place to live for me, but yeah, I was living in Lichtenberg, the eastern part of the city, and I had to commute for an hour every morning. So sleeping an extra hour was nice, but um, I had another hour to kill in the afternoon, and also I couldn't make any plans anymore because everything was banned. And I'm really into learning languages, so that was the perfect opportunity to spend more time learning languages. And Romanian was a language that I always wanted to learn, especially since I visited a friend there and I really liked the country and the language as well. And I realized it wasn't as difficult as I initially thought because it's a Romance language. And if you speak any other Romance language like French or Spanish, like I do, there are considerable similarities. So, what I did was plan all that extra time I had and start learning, testing the comprehensible input theory that I had just learned about. I wasn't aware of that before 2019 20, I think. That's when I heard about Link, about Steve Kaufman, Stephen Krashen, and so on. And so basically, what I did was get the ASIMIL book for Romanian. I already had an account for Link, and I started doing lots and lots and lots of reading. I also we were allowed to go for runs um, during lockdown in Berlin. I don't know how it was in your country. I know in Spain they were like I think they were not allowed to go out for like 6 to 8 weeks, and everyone was at home clapping from the windows and that doing that kind of stupid stuff. Um, but in Berlin, we were allowed to go for runs, so I spent a lot of time reading, and then a lot of time running and listening to audio. I just have my earphones on and listen to the Asimil and Link audio files over and over again. I also found out about italki, which is a language exchange or language lesson platform. You can find tutors there. I tried an exchange first with a Romanian guy who wanted to learn Spanish. So we did half an hour and half an hour, but it wasn't that effective because a even if we both were at home during lockdown, it wasn't easy to agree on a time. For some reason, it didn't really work, and there were cancellations, and yeah, it wasn't very practical. And also the fact that I had to spend half an hour teaching him Spanish, which I mean, that's what I do for a living, but it wasn't really worth it. I was making more money than I needed already because I had nothing to spend money on during lockdown. So I decided to just get a tutor and do an hour, an hour a day, like twice a week, of just Romanian speaking practice, just conversation. No grammar, no explanations, just conversation. Because I was getting enough grammar and vocabulary from doing lots and lots of reading and listening. And eventually, they forced us. Yeah, they basically forced us back into the office because I mean nobody wanted to go back to the office, but they said, "COVID's not that bad. Okay, you should start coming back again." So again, instead of 8 o'clock, I had to wake up at 7. That's fun. I'm sounding really lazy right now, right? But I'm really not a morning person. I will work till 11 in the evening if needs be, but yeah, waking up early not my thing. But yeah, they told us that we needed to go back to the office. So that gave me 2 hours of commuting time. And now I already had developed the habit of listening daily. So what I did was download a bunch of podcasts about history in Romania. And by then, that was already like 2 or 3 months into my uh, learning journey. So, and I had done a lot of reading and listening, so I could understand the basics. So I started listening to history podcasts for 2 hours a day, every day, on the way to work and back. And I'd listen to more of it as well at home while cooking my meals, while uh, no, actually, not during my meals. I used to listen to German radio because I was in Berlin and I needed to, you know, practice my German as well. And I wasn't socializing much because of COVID. So yeah, but true. I mean, it's been 3 years, and that part about when I was listening to what it's a little bit blurry. But yeah, 2 hours a day of listening during the commute. I did that consistently for 6 months. 6 months, and once I got back in the office again, when I got home, uh, I continued doing a lot of reading, lots of reading in using link, which is really useful if you upload books. So I got a general Romanian history book first, and then one about Ceausescu, the communist dictatorship, one about Vladimir Pela, and a bunch of others. So I did. I don't know how many books I read in total in Romanian, but a lot of them. And there's something really satisfying about finishing your first book in a new language because you just read a book, a whole book. It's I really recommend doing that. It's a slow process, takes time. Um, it does look like a daunting task at first, but in Link you just can click in the words and you'll get the meaning. And you'll go very slowly in the beginning, but once you've developed the habit of doing it, you'll get faster and faster. And the second part of the book will just be relatively easy. So lots of reading, lots of listening, conversation practice once or twice a week with a tutor. And then I also met, when they eventually opened the gyms again, I met a bunch of Moldovans that were, because again, I was living in East Berlin where most of the immigrants there come from the former Soviet Union. So you get, there are Vietnamese people as well, but mostly Russians, Ukrainians. So I was practicing my Russian as well. There are Russians, Ukrainians, Moldovans, Belarusians, and so on. And yeah, I met Moldovans in the gym, so I started talking to them. That was also good practice. They were very surprised. I was able to speak Romanian. And in September, so like I said, I started learning in March 2020. In September, I had a job interview with the AHK, the AHK, which is the Auslandshandelskammer. It's one of them. So it's a series of chambers of commerce, German chambers of commerce abroad. So in this case, it was the German Romanian Chamber of Commerce in Bucharest. I had an interview via video call, of course, with them. A job interview, and it was in German. And I had mentioned that I was learning Romanian, and they probably thought like, okay, he can say hello, goodbye, thank you, my name is Mikael, blah blah blah. And like 10 minutes into the interview, I was like, so should I like switch to Romanian at some point, or should we? And they were like, okay. And we continued the whole conversation in Romanian, and they were like, what the fuck? And I obviously got hired, worked in Bucharest for the next year, and yeah, it was a really good experience. I really recommend Romania. The language is really interesting because it's a mixture of um, Eastern European mixed with Latin. It's a very unique language that sounds exotic but also similar at the same time. I really like the language, and I also like the culture and the people there. It's if you haven't been there, and I know it gets about uh, some people have this idea from us of it as a really corrupt country or something. Uh, okay, yeah, I mean you might get that kind of thing there, like everywhere else, but in general, especially if you show interest in the language and the culture, really friendly people, really nice, food's great. There are really nice places to visit. I highly recommend Romania to everyone. Um, and that's it. Again, if you thought this was useful, give it a like, share it, subscribe, and stay tuned with for more videos.